well, I've sold arguably more wine than cannabis, and you have a problem all the time. I mean, they will steal like clients specifically. And well, so for me, I used to work with and I won't step foot in. I will never do anything with ever again.
She's run alcohol-fueled corporate parties for years and says cannabis events are calmer, safer, and way more human. I'm Jason Reposa. After 25 years in tech and cannabis, I host High Functioning to show it actually works. Today's guest is Sam Kanter, founder of Sam Kanter Events and the creator of Dinner at Mary's and High Road Yoga Events. She has spent over a decade building high-end culinary and community experiences and was advocating for social consumption before the rules even existed. We get into why cannabis events outperform alcohol ones, how infused dinners actually work, and what social consumption needs to succeed.
I don't think that there should be a separation of sales and consumption. I think that makes it clunky.
This is hospitality, culture, and cannabis done right. Let's dive in.
I actually run 3 companies. So 2 of them are in the cannabis space. But the reason I had the opportunity actually to be in the cannabis space is I own a company called Sam Kanter Events. So I do restaurant events. I outsource event programs. I've been doing that for about 13 years. And then I moved into the owner of Dinner at Mary's and High Road Canna Yoga.
We're to get into a couple of those things. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, yes.
So when it comes to, first of all, I like how we started, before we even went on air, you were talking about your name. Because I was like, is it Sam or Samantha? And you were like, Sam, and that's on purpose.
Yes, it's very much on purpose. I mean, I identify with Sam. I think it's always what I've gone by. But I think that people categorize themselves in my life based on what they end up calling me. Some people end up calling me Samantha or Sammy and things like that. And they kind of very nicknameable. But Sam is really androgynous. And I find I do a lot of work over email. And I often can be mistaken for a male. And that works in my favor. For sure. When I get mail to Mr. Kanter, I feel like I've made it because it's
College checkbox.
Yes, I mean, frankly, that's the world we live in.
Yeah, that's the world we live in. I think that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it really is one of those situations where you have that androgynous name where it could go either way. And we have somebody on staff here. Her name is Logan, and so it's very like, Mr. This, Mr. That with her, and it's funny because I'm like, but she eats it up.
It's so interesting how people make those assumptions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't use a lot of Misters and Misses, but yeah.
High Functioning isn't your average cannabis podcast. It's where business, wellness, and culture collide with honest convos from people actually doing the work. Tap in at High Functioning Show and hit subscribe so you don't miss a drop. Now, back to the episode. Yeah, go right to the Mr. and Mrs. Exactly. They go right to it, right for the kill.
Very strange to me. But I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on, I think, with gender specifically in the world. But I am a feminist trying not to be a misandrist right now. And it's getting harder and harder. I think androgyny tends to help me, at least.
Yeah. Let's go into the cannabis side of things real quick. So you just mentioned, actually, there's 2 companies in cannabis and one that's not in cannabis.
Yes.
So I guess break them down a little bit.
So it's interesting. I mean, they're all very connected.
Right, they're related. Right.
I mean, I started doing. I'm an event planner. Like, that's really my background is culinary and event planning. And the other companies came about by just adding cannabis, essentially. So I use cannabis as an enhancement. Any of my events you can enjoy with or without cannabis, and that's really something that I try to encourage. But yes, I do restaurant events, and I think that the fact that I owned my company and that I had the ability to have control over my schedule and things like that really let me start in cannabis and kind of dip my toe in. And now it's become more of, it's the majority of what I do.
How many years were you before you entered cannabis? Bringing it on your own?
I think so. I've had Sam Kanter Events for it'll be 13 years this summer. Yeah. And I think today's my 7-year anniversary, actually, of Dinner at Mary's.
Wow.
Interestingly enough. So I guess.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't believe 7 years seems like a really long time. And it's cool because I'm like, oh, great, I've been doing this for 7 years. And then part of me is like, wow, I feel like it would be nice if you were for a little long.
I think a lot of people in cannabis would think that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's not a unique thought.
It's out of our control.
Yeah.
I put as much into my control as I can with my advocacy work. But yeah, things move slower.
But what was if I get my dates correct, so it's 13 years in the last 6, now 7. So you're talking about like 6,
Yeah,
6-ish years.
Yeah, so being a business number 4.
I almost did 6, 7. Sorry. 6-ish years.
I did dabble before a little bit. I did some events. I worked with a couple of guys and did. We did have a company for about 6 months, maybe 9 months. That we were doing.
Oh, you partnered with somebody?
I partnered with 3 of us. Created a company together, and we decided to not continue that company after about 6-7 months. And then I started Intermarries, right?
What was the impetus for even getting into cannabis? Were there people just calling you being like, hey, we want to do events?
They asked me. I ended up doing, and I actually can't remember. There was a magazine that's a national magazine that came to Boston, and I'm blanking on the name. But they did their launch party at Royale, and I was brought in to help plan that party.
A timeout or something?
It's not.
That's the one that popped into my head.
It's going to drive me crazy. We were on the cover of it at one point, and it's like I can see the cover in my head. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the magazine, but so I started. And it wasn't plant touching or anything like that. I just was planning an event for cannabis, and then really started making connections to cannabis. I was potted behind the scenes,
right?
I just kind of brought it to the forefront. It was really interesting. So when I first started, I didn't want anyone to know,
right?
And a lot of my restaurant clients, I was afraid about them knowing I was touching cannabis and working in cannabis. And then I finally was kind of like, fuck it. Like,
right.
I smell pot and look at how productive I am. And you know me as a productive person.
Right. All right.
So now maybe you can, I already built that trust, I think. And then when I, started telling people I was working in cannabis and that I consumed a lot of cannabis, I think it was better received in that sense versus just coming out with it.
And like, I bet in the very early days, since it was a cannabis event, but there was no plant touching component of it.
Look, yeah, I mean, people.
But did you have to have those conversations with the not landlords? What do you call it?
Yeah. The venues. I try to be really transparent in everything that I do. That particular party was not a consumption party. I think there've been a lot of cannabis parties at Royale and even a little easier and people smoke outside, things like that.
Right.
But it was more about the magazine, more about exposure. But I'm very clear with any venue that I book with, and I do a lot of social consumption events. I want them to understand exactly what's happening, what we are allowed to do from consumption standpoint, what they feel comfortable with, all those things.
I run an events newsletter also. And I think we've definitely put your events on for the last few years. I think on the list.
I was bringing so many people.
Please send them. But we find them too. We've got a team like aggregating them, and just as people hear about things, we'll just be like, okay, let's write this down. And sometimes people don't want it on the event list,
right?
Because they were like, it's really like industry, like insider specific, and we have a list of like 50.
I don't do insider specific. I want everybody to be able to come.
Right, exactly. So definitely send them. Because we'll send a bunch of people your way.
Yeah, I think that my clientele, most of my clientele is really outside of the cannabis industry. Like, of course, I have so many partners in the industry, and I love working with people in the industry, but I definitely have a more kind of curious crowd and more people that aren't necessarily big users, dipping their toe in, like that.
Well, I think that's where I'm going with this. So, like, I'm talking really more about the marketing side of it. Like, how do you get people to show up to events and stuff like that? Because what's happening is, my newsletter is very industry focused. If I look through the email addresses on my newsletter, it's just like all the big brands and stuff like that are going to be on it because they're looking for, at the end of the day, I think we learned over time that we can't just market to each other all the time.
Right.
And you show up and like, hey, I've seen you at the last 4 events. Good to see you again. It's like, you're selling me insurance. I've got good vibes, whatever. Now, when you're marketing an event, I think the real true test is, can you get consumers to actually show up?
1,000%. I think that that's the hardest thing. And a lot of people come to me when they're, working on an event and kind of pitching the idea. And I'm like, you're going to sell it? Like, tickets are fucking hard to sell, period. And I think that this part of the world, especially people buy last minute, you're trying to plan, you're trying to be prepared, and it's super hard. I think that's something that's definitely gotten easier over time. The amount of time that I've been in business and building that community. And the yoga part of it, I think, has been really interesting because that community building has been easier. I think yoga is just such a community building activity.
Right. That makes sense.
And I think that my community has that's been the best part of anything I've done is the community I think I've built with it.
Yeah, because when I think of that, I think that's kind of like, if you want to just like move your body and you're familiar with yoga, this is like a natural, like easy in. And it's also yoga, and it's like not about.
I mean, we try to make it really accessible though, because a lot of people are like, I don't do yoga, or like it's hard or whatever. I do crazy yoga, for the record. Like I do hot power yoga. I'm a certified instructor. Like I do like hardcore yoga.
Wow.
But very stoned. However, but that's what these events are.
Yeah.
These events are very accessible. This is stretching the community. This is connecting with people. It's about getting that mind-body connection, which is what I get in yoga, and it really like pushed my practice to a whole new level. But like lying in Savasana stoned is like an experience everyone needs to have.
I think I have to experience that.
1,000%.
Yeah.
They have an event on the 25th.
All right.
In Newton. I don't think we're sold out yet. It's a smaller space. He's trying to sell that space out pretty quick, but I will save seats for you if you can come.
I think I might attend. I just have to look at my schedule. I've got 3 kids. It's like insane all the time.
Yes, but I like because if you sit on your mat and you smoke the whole time, no one's gonna say shit to you,
right?
And we're all gonna be like, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I tend to stop quite a bit. I'm also taking content. I'm practicing in class as well. But I will often sit and smoke in the middle of class. That is an option. Like we don't want anyone to feel that they're pressure. I mean, that's what's so great about yoga. Like no one's going to yell at you. Lie on your mat the whole time. That's what you need.
Right.
Give yourself what you need. And I think the cannabis makes me better at doing that. And being like, I've had a hard day, so I'm going to chill.
Right.
But I think that mind-body connection, like you also like feel the muscles in your body more. You just feel more connected. I feel you're more body aware.
I think what I've done, last time I did yoga, I was stone sober, and I remember, I think as a weekend warrior athlete myself, I'm like, all right, I got to complete the moves. And I'm so in my head being like, all right, the instructor did this, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to do it the best. And and now I'm looking around everybody else, how are they doing it? You know what I mean?
Totally. And
that's in my head.
That's how I was when it started, right? Like I mean, I can be a show off in yoga. Like
well, it seems like you have the cred.
I have the cred, but like, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It took me I've been doing yoga for over 10 years, and I was actually trying to figure it out. I think it's been longer than that, maybe 15 plus. I think I'm finally figuring out what yoga's about. Like yes, there's a workout. Sure,
yeah.
Of course. And I use it as my workout, and I want that, but it's about so much more. It's so mental, and sitting in a class where everybody around you is doing, doing poses and doing advanced postures, and you're sitting there and you're like doing you like that. And now I'm like, look at me, I'm a yogi. Like that, like taking more breaks, listening to your body, doing what's right for you is yoga. I mean, breathing is yoga. Like, I feel like I'm really starting to.
That's fantastic. I need some breath work too. So when it comes to, I guess, the breakdown right now, yoga, obviously you're very passionate about that area, but you also have the dinners and you also have event planning for other companies, right? Like approximately, if you were to break down your revenue percentages, like what's actually feeding your dinner tables right now?
I mean, frankly, the restaurant events keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Both Dinner and Mary's and High Road are profitable businesses, and they do bring in money. With social consumption changing, that's hopefully where the real profitability.
Well, we're gonna get there in a second
for sure. I mean, that's where I'm really looking to be. I mean, I do have a product in market. However, I mean that's another story. That is
another thing, right now. Yeah. So we can get to that one as well because I'm curious about that. But going back just to the marketing side, what are a couple strategies? So if somebody was we're talking about people with limited budget, for instance. Like if you were to give them advice, if you're like, hey Sam, I've got this event. It's not yoga. It's like, I'm just holding like a bud tender appreciation event or something like that of a single brand. What are some basic things to get the word out?
I mean, social media is your best friend, right? But it's also a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And they love shutting us down. And it's really challenging, but it's really the only way. I mean, what's nice about yoga is I can advertise to the yoga studios that I'm going to. That helps and building that community. But I mean, it's honestly the people that are coming are the people that have come and they come back. People that have seen it on social or their friend told them. Like it's very like when people bring their friends and they're like, we came, it was awesome, and like we want, people like those are the best. That's the best clientele, and it feels the best. I think there's a lot of word of mouth when it comes to my events. As far as advice, I mean, I'm like, build the community. Like, that's the only way I've been able
Community builder.
just to sell tickets. Like, I think that, yeah, like a 420 event, you're going to get, bigger numbers, things like that. You still have to reach them. And like, I don't know any, like, I don't do any traditional advertising. It's social media, it's word of mouth, and it's
Do you ever try to connect with like influencers in the market to be like, hey, could you promote my event?
I mean, as I'm sure you know, so many influencers don't touch cannabis.
That's true.
I, certainly work with some in the industry and have some relationships with them. I think it would be cool to do a little bit more influencer stuff. I mean, my plan actually, with the olive oil specifically, I have so many chef connections, and I really want to talk to my chefs and some influencers and hope them like embody, because that's what it is. Like, that I really try to reach people outside of cannabis, because the industry, of course, everyone's consuming, but like, let me show you how a product that you're using every day can actually make you feel a lot better. Right. That's what I'm trying to connect with. So that's kind of my next plan.
So influencers, and this is for the product. So it's an olive oil tincture in the Massachusetts market.
It's actually an edible.
An edible, okay.
So it is categorized as an edible. I did think about that, but it's 100 milligrams. So it is in the edible category, and I try to keep it in the edible category. Sometimes it's miscategorized on menus, but the idea is...
Does it comes in like a tincture bottle, or is it like a...
No, it's, so there's no drumper. It is a child lock bamboo cap. It is a 4-ounce bottle. Got
it. So 4-ounce olive oil, 100 mgs.
Yes.
So it's like a teaspoon or something like that.
So the cap is actually a teaspoon inside.
Oh, fantastic.
So that
is your measuring device.
Yes, my measuring device.
Yeah.
So it's 5 milligrams per teaspoon.
All compliance.
And that's how it's being used. I want it to be a teaspoon, not a couple drops. I think some of the other olive oils in the market have been, smaller amounts. You're not using it like an olive oil. I want you to use this like an olive oil.
Right, exactly.
Culinary product. I want you to keep in your pantry and use the amount that...
Where do you source the olive oil?
I work with a company called Portrita Imports. They are like this lovely Greek family. This is a Greek cold press olive oil. They're amazing. The value of this olive oil is really fantastic. It's a delicious olive oil.
I love olive oil.
It really has really strong flavor. You do not taste cannabis in it at all. Enough that like I can't be abused on. I feel like I will, because I have non-infused and infused. Everything's labeled, like everything's really specific, because if I mix them up,
you can't even taste the weed in it. That's wild. And so is that like the highlight of Dinners at Mary's, kind of like dinners?
Yes. So that's how the olive oil was developed. I mean, I was using it for catering. We were doing meal kits over COVID. That was a great source of revenue, and really like how
meal kits
completely stuff. Yeah. So like smart. A lot of pivoting. And we were doing the meal kits, and the olive oil was coming with the meal kits. We were doing 20 milligrams of olive oil as a gift with the meal kits. And that very same olive oil is what we're...
It's fantastic. How many events do you hold, dinners do you hold, like, say?
So there's no like consistency with it. Right now, I've been on holds because the product is technically on holds right now. So I am not allowed to promote it. That will change soon. I have a lot of ideas. I have space lined up. I'm ready to go.
Nice.
So hopefully that will be very soon. But I also want to be cognizant of the fact that like I don't want to have an olive oil dinner when I can't film dispensaries at the moment. So I want it to be able to be, obviously there's value there. I want buyers to be able to come. I want people to appreciate it and know exactly where to send them to buy it. And
I like that. That's a good strategy. Well, because you have to be able to buy the product. Why
yeah, so it is
hold these dinners? Yeah.
So people can buy it. But as far as the wholesale,
are you looking for a new partner in the middle?
Partner.
Okay. Sometimes people have reached out to guests and said,
I
can
love that. Yeah. So I'm looking for a straightforward manufacturing agreement. Of course, somebody that, supports social consumption ideally and support culinary products.
Mm-hmm.
I have a salad dressing ready to go.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that product. I think it contextualizes the olive oil as well. I think some people don't necessarily, like they see oil, and in cannabis, oil means something different, right? So I think that the salad dressing is a little bit easier to...
The chef kits, right, yeah.
And will contextualize that olive oil as well. Like these are pantry items, these are food items, culinary items. And that's a product I haven't seen before, like anyone else has seen before. So I'm really excited for the feedback. It's also banging. I mean, this dressing is so good. I'm so excited about it. I've been working on it for years. And I am really excited.
That's fantastic. I love it. So stepping back into kind of like, since you had started Sam Kanter Events 13 years ago, you probably had some alcohol-enabled events, I'm assuming, back then, right? So I guess what's the biggest difference you say?
It's night and day. And I was a booze bag back in the day. I don't
Booze bag? All right. Go there.
But like in the restaurant industry, like when I talk about booze, it's so cultural. I didn't think about it. I was at a place that served alcohol, so I drank it.
Right.
And all my friends were, and we were, serving to other people. I've sold arguably more wine than cannabis. And you have a problem all the time, primarily like holiday season, because holiday season is when all the corporate events are.
Yep.
You're going to get out of control. If you're going to drink too much, it's going to be at the holiday party. And the things that I have seen, people act really inappropriately. I mean, there's been fight, and I do high-end corporate events. Like these, it's not like
like Fortune 50 company corporate events.
And yeah, you'll see a lot of things. And you also see like really inappropriate behavior, like, here's my hotel key.
Right.
Like, I mean, you're not going to see that at Cannabis Party. It doesn't happen. Like people do things when they're drinking that they would never do in any other circumstance.
I know. And that's one of the things that when we have like the after parties at like NECAN or some of these events, and all of a sudden we're having like an after party and it's a cannabis event and there's alcohol served, I mean, I have seen some wild stuff as well, and people get handsy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's bad.
I mean, from a male. Yeah. Yes.
I tell my staff all the time, like, there's nothing good that's going to happen after like 9:30 at these events.
Yeah.
Like, just go back to your hotel.
And also, especially when people are mixing, and like, don't get me wrong, like, I do the CrossFit thing, right? Like, I'm not judging it, but like, a lot of people are not experienced enough, and they really go off the rails.
Yeah. And they know they got a hotel room later tonight, so they're just like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's night and day.
Yeah.
The amount of issues I've had, managing alcohol, and I've managed thousands. Like, I do multiple events a day, in restaurants, and yeah, it's an issue, and cannabis isn't.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, it's not like I've never had any kind of problem ever in my cannabis events, but I would say, I mean, it's not even comparable. The only real, there was like one event I did years ago, and I used to do, back in the beginning, I did like beer and wine at a couple of events, along with cannabis, and like that was the only like time it's like I really had an issue was when somebody was mixing. Like when it's been straight cannabis, like it's.
Wow, that's so interesting. So what about I'm trying to wrap my head around the dining experience itself. What is there like something that people just have an assumption about cannabis dining?
There's so many. Yeah. Well, the most basic is that if you're consuming smoking and when you're consuming like an edible, they're different, not only different experiences, but it's different onset. Onset is so simple, and yet I'm shocked that people don't know about it. Like, no, it's going to hit you in an hour. So what's hilarious about the dining, I often do multiple courses. And when I started, I was doing only 5-course dinners. And it would be like course 3. And it's like a light switch book because it's not right away, right?
Right.
So I mean, I always tell people that, listen, and I give people individualized doses. When we do tasting menus, you can have 0, 5, 10, or 20 milligrams.
Right.
Typically our breakdown.
Per course?
No, that's total experience. That is where most of our clientele lands. There's, always people, there's a couple people that will be like, yeah, I need 100 or whatever. One group that like everyone is at 100. Like that was somewhat unnecessary, frankly, but 90% of the events I do, or 95% of the events I do are those are up to 20, 25 milligrams. That's really where my clientele lands. And I'll break it down for them as far as the courses go. But I tell people, listen, at any point, we're not infusing anything before we get on site. We're infusing for you. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, I'm good, you don't need to.
And the rest of the dinner is infused.
And you want to bump up, cool. But keep in mind, you're not feeling what you've consumed yet. Mm-hmm. So I always am like a little wary. Sometimes you want a little more dessert, like cool. Especially because now I do this like really cool olive oil cake that works really well with the olive oil. And so some people will like, get a little extra. But for the most part, people, and a lot of people are like, I don't know. Or like, I smoke sometimes, or I have a gummy before bed sometimes, right? Like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the most valuable things we offer is like, let me walk you through what a dosage is going to make sense for you and choosing that dosage for you. Because I want you to have the experience you want. I don't want to pass out when I leave. Like this is a high-end experience. This is an enhancement to your meal. And I want everyone to feel comfortable. And I think we achieve that more often than not, for sure. I mean, it's been very successful.
Yeah. And so when it comes to like the legality side of this, these are all private spaces, I'm assuming?
These are all private spaces for the catering, but I do a decent amount of social consumption in public spaces. I use a gifting model.
The gifting.
But yeah, we're in the gray area. I've been in the gray. I live in the gray area. I've been here for a long time. But I really put an emphasis on public safety. I'm very particular about what I'm doing. I'm very careful. I'm very organized. I know what the fuck I'm doing. So
Right.
I think that that helps. And I'm been, in touch with the CCC a lot. Did a lot of advocacy work to get the social consumption regulations to where they are. I'm really happy with where they are. They're not perfect, but I think they're way better than they started. Let's say that. And I'm excited to be able to utilize them. But I think that I follow I follow every rule I can.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very great. Absolutely. So, I just don't think people were prepared for the creativity of people who are getting into the industry and creating all these, even just the idea of like, beverages didn't even exist in the first regular set of regulations, right? So that it had to be built after beverages were launched at that point. Because people didn't consider like a liquid format as like a option for an edible in a sense. So
the government isn't always the most creative, right?
No.
But I do think Massachusetts has been cognizant of that.
Yes.
They see that and they want people
They're responsive.
to be creative. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. They've been very responsive and open to my ideas, to my thought process, and I really appreciate that they want us to be able to do cool shit.
So you had mentioned, well, I guess implied a little bit like other events or people who hold other events. Like, are there things that kind of you see in the market right now for events that you're not running that you're like, man, they're totally blowing this up?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, I've been to events where, something's infused and I ask how many milligrams and they don't have an answer for me. And that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like, I'm a low dose girl. Like, I don't consume more than 10 milligrams at a time. Like, I need to know. And back in the day, I didn't consume more than 5 milligrams at a time. So I would be like if I have 15, 20 milligrams, like that's fucks my whole day.
Yeah, you're scared.
Like, some people will really freak out. Like, I think I'm in a place where it's like, yeah, I can get too high. And then I'm like, all right, I'm too high.
You know how to deal with it.
Yeah, and it's like, fine. But like, not everyone's like that. And so I think, especially because I have so many people that are either new to cannabis, haven't even tried it, like, that's how my events are. I want to be explicit. This is exactly how much is in this. This is what you're going to expect. I want you to have the information going in. I don't want you to wing it and then have an experience you don't want. So I think a lot of people, especially in the cannabis industry, they're so used to being around all these potheads that know they're
They don't realize.
they don't realize that, like, I have a lot of friends that like will take 2.5 milligrams and that's their limit.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there. Like, people, the dosage is too high. It is geared towards industry. And granted, if you're doing an industry event and that's what you want, like, cool. But if you're trying to get to a new consumer and you want to make this, you want new people that aren't in this, like, you need to make this accessible and you need to educate. And I don't see a ton of that. But there are a lot of people. I will partner. I love collaborating. It's not a competition for me. I think there's room for all of us. I love going to other people's events. I love having, their event planners and other people come to my events. I really try to work with people. It's not about bringing people down. But finding event spaces is incredibly difficult. And I think some of the event spaces really disrespect people in the industry. And they do. Yeah, that's the hard.
What do you mean disrespect the industry?
They will steal, like, clients specifically. And well, so for me, and I think this is something I'm comfortable talking about. I used to work with, and I won't step foot in. I will never do anything with ever again. They were copying my events. I did an event. I've done multiple events with them. I was one of the first people to book at their Harvard Square location, the upstairs location. I was doing. That's really where I launched High Road.
The yoga
events all the time there. And then I was doing events at the larger space, and they would contact the vendors I brought in and host events, or at least try to, with those vendors without me.
Wow.
And
just cut you out.
Just cut me out completely and fully copy what I was doing. And I was like, hey, that's not cool. You can't do that. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It will never happen again. And then they immediately did it again. And they've done it to many other people since. And it sucks because I wanted to be supportive.
Yeah.
Anybody in the cannabis industry. I want these venues to exist. I brought so many people to their venue and showed, gave them exposure, wanted to work with them. I wanted to help build their event program. I offered to help book for them, create programs for them to, make this really robust. And they did me really dirty. And I've seen them do a lot of people dirty. And it's really unfortunate because they're so...
I don't see that side of it. Wow.
I
don't hear about it. It's the first person I've ever heard. Yeah.
Standpoint, it's so hard. There's a lot of people that think this, so they're obviously not saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know a lot of people that have had similar situations with them. And it's really, really unfortunate. It didn't need to be this way.
So what about, what makes a great space for you today? Are art galleries,
honestly, I can make any space work but I want to be able to smoke. And the
inside.
Yeah. Smoking events are just better attended, and it's cooler. You don't get to do it other places. Does everyone have ventilation? No, we don't have those social consumption things in place. It's not as smoky as I think as people think. And a space that I use a lot has this big fan in the wall, and it circulates, and we're good. I am excited to have my own ventilation system and be able to do those. But smoking is a huge part of it, and that's the biggest challenge, is because of other people complaining.
I love this. So you just hinted at your ventilation system.
Oh, yeah.
So are you pursuing social consumption?
100%. I think I have to. Honestly, I feel obligated at this point. I've been fighting for it for so long. Yes.
Were you just waiting for someone else to have the venue, and then you were like, okay, I'll hold events there?
No, because I'm a control freak, and that's my biggest problem is, right, I'm renting spaces from these places, and then something will happen, and then I will lose that opportunity, that space. And it's the community is built by consistency.
Yeah, you have to be consistent.
And an area, and I've popped around so much that I realized, no, I need to control my own.
So you are pursuing social consumption. Obviously, you're working with the commission on advocating for it.
Yes.
You had already hinted at this, so I'll just bring it back. What specifically would you have changed about the current implementation?
I don't think that there should be a separation of sales and consumption. I think that makes it clunky. So
I didn't realize that. So what do you mean? You have to go into a dispensary type sale situation?
So if you're sitting smoking at a table, and a server can't come up to you and take your order.
Right. So you can't be like, hey, I'll take another pre-roll.
Right. I have to get up and go to the separated section.
Did they have a reason why? People were going to pocket things?
Talk to them about it. They're primarily concerned about the safety of employees with the smoke. So they want to be able to separate them and have them in the space for less time. I think it's valid from a public health perspective, but I also feel like everybody that's working in these spaces, I know someone smoke every day. So it's I get it, but it's not like that in other states. In many other states, I think it's unnecessary. I think it's clunky, but they did raise the limit. So when they were partnering that regulation with the 10 milligrams at a time regulation, it was a shit show. And that's really what I expressed to CCC is you're not going to create an enjoyable environment. People aren't going to come, but you need to give us the opportunity to create an enjoyable environment. So at least now you can purchase a bunch, right? So let's say you purchase 10 pre-rolls, you sit at your table and you're good. I do wish there was a little bit more interaction as far as I think service is important, and that's my background is hospitality. So I want to be able to provide that.
Well, I was going to say, what's the server's role at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't. It's really more of a counter service model. There's no the infrastructure. There's no infrastructure for a real restaurant setting right now. But that's not just based on Massachusetts. That's really a federal putting cannabis in the food, which is another big part. But that's not a Massachusetts issue. That's a federal issue.
That's why. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not in an FDA approved food additive.
So you can't technically your dinner at Mary's kind of concept. You can't pre-infuse food and bring it to somebody at a table.
Correct. So it really needs to be on the side, which is really where those cannabis condiments come in. So you can put it on your own food.
I like it. Drizzle with some olive oil and whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really, it's designed as a finishing oil. You can use it for baking. It's great for baking. So don't get me wrong if you want to do it at home. But yes, this will be a kind of a user experience where they can add those things, which is why I kind of, I really updated my concept quite a bit to get to where it is. And it's a counter service model, primarily because of that regulation. So I want it to feel natural.
Is there anything, so that's clearly, yeah, that's very clunky. Is there anything else that comes to mind? Because actually, just to remind the audience, what are the actual limits?
So you can purchase the same that you can at a retail location. You can consume up to half of that. Also,
okay.
Which is so weird to me. And that is a regulation they just ruined at the last minute.
So
it's better than it was, so I'm into it.
So if somebody buys an ounce, they can consume up to a half an ounce while they're there.
Yes.
If they buy one pre-roll.
Yeah, so I think the way that I understand it is that, so like use the ounce, right, is that you can consume up to half an ounce regardless of what you buy. You can consume that much on site. But like, obviously, pre-rolls are a little bit different than like, if you live in drinks and, so like, I don't know exactly how they like measure it, but basically the same limits from the retail standpoint on like how they're doing the math.
Right. Because there's also proposed increases in limits too, right? So going from 5 to 10.
Let's be real. There shouldn't be a limit, like, period. So, but
if you had responsible vendors and brands, maybe.
But I'm a responsible human.
Yeah.
And like, we're adults. Like, it's already 21 plus. Like, you have to put some onus on like the fact that people get to make their own decisions. And if I can go into a liquor store with my nephew,
right,
and buy the whole fucking liquor store,
there's no limit.
No.
Yeah.
Put it all in my car with my kid.
Right. Go having a party.
And they're not.
There we go.
It's not child locked.
Yeah.
My kid could walk around and break a bunch of bottles and drink it's the double standard that makes me crazy.
Absolutely. Well, the reason why I bring that up again is because you had told that story about like you asked somebody how much is in this thing.
Yep.
And they're being a bit irresponsible for not even knowing how much is in the thing. So that's why I'm like, there's some.
Right, but that's unregulated, right? So once we're in a regulatory space, like everything is going to be
right, exactly
labeled. So like that kind of goes away. I try to plan my events the way so they're going to be as seamless as possible. But like when I switch over, like now you can buy the cannabis for me. I don't have to give it to you.
Right.
That's the main difference, right?
Do you have like a location picked out yet or anything like that?
I'm in Somerville. So I've lived in Somerville for a long time. I think it's the right place to be, and I've been working with the government in Somerville for quite some time.
Yeah, the local officials, are they like, check, Sam's in?
100%.
Okay, cool.
That's simple, right? I'll go through the process, but they are incredibly supportive of what I do and also just cannabis in general. When the pilot program was going to happen back in the day, Somerville was one of the 5.
Got it. Because I was going to ask you, like, how many towns are actually already said we're okay with it?
I mean, I don't.
Is that only a handful? I think.
Somerville is certainly. I'd say Somerville's probably the most vocal, or certainly up there as far as like being pro. I think now that the regulations are here, everybody's kind of like figuring it out. I would like to think most towns would go for it, but of course they're not going to.
Right.
To be real. But I think Somerville is progressive.
Yeah.
I want to live there. Like,
right.
Somerville is being as prepared as they can be. They've had actually public listening sessions specifically in Somerville about social consumption that I've attended. Like they want feedback from people. They want people to be able to.
You're showing up every time, being like, I'm here. I'm going to be doing this.
Virtual, and on site. Like and they've been great to work with, and it's also where I want to be.
Right.
So,
well, the second problem comes in now, speaking as a licensed operator, is there's landlords involved.
Oh my God. I've been looking for 3 years for a space. Okay. And granted, thank God I didn't find one because I wouldn't be paying rent.
Right. Yeah.
So,
save yourself some money.
100%. I put it on hold. I'm really in investment phase right now. Of course, if the right space pops up, amazing. But I'm really trying to figure out my financial backing, and be like really prepared when I find the right space. But I think we're 18 months away. So I don't.
It's going to take some time.
It's going to take some time. I, believe the universe will drop the right space in my lap at the right time. I'm hoping. But it's incredibly difficult. Yeah.
Well, because there's no even on the CCC side, though, on the regulatory side, there's no application yet or anything, right? So it's like the social consumption regulations were in place as of like January 2nd, like the first business day of the year or something like that, right? Yeah. But there's no way to apply even yet.
There's no way to apply. And granted, and technically I'm not applying, right? So I have a social equity partner. I don't fall into a social equity program. So I won't be going through that process. I will be supporting the process. And I'm partnering with Paper Crane. They're the best.
Paper Crane. I love Paper Crane.
I'm so lucky to work with them. Yeah. And we've been working together on the yoga for quite some time. And Lisa and Bowie, who I know
yep,
on the show,
they're coming on the show.
They're the best people into this. And the fact that they're also social equity is great. They owned a yoga studio before COVID. This venue will be a yoga studio and cafe.
That's fun.
And I'm so excited.
Well, that's why I was wondering about like social consumption. Everybody has these grand ideas of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I've heard whispers of like, oh, I talked to the town and they're in whatever town it was, and like they're on board. And so all these side conversations are happening everywhere.
It's like on board. There's also people that, I mean, I saw somebody post on social media years ago that somebody got their first social consumption license. And I was like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
It literally didn't happen.
Very confused about it.
So what do you think, like, what kind of business models for social consumption do you think are going to be the successful ones? And which ones do you think, I think maybe they're too idealistic of like how it's all going to roll out and they sell?
Okay, so I think that, I did a big trip down the California coast to go basically all the social consumption spots.
Nice. Sounds like a fun trip.
It was a great trip. The easiest is the dispensary lounge model, right? You buy your pot, you go next door, you smoke it.
Right.
You consume it. That's going to be successful. That works. That's easy. People want to do it. It made sense. I did a lot in California, and it was cool. I think that those are arguably the most financially sound, especially with the supplemental license, because you're already
you already have a license, right?
Yeah, like that's going to be the easiest model for
an add-on. Is they already have the security and SOPs and all this other stuff,
right? So like they're if they want smoking, they're gonna have to add ventilation and do that stuff. I think some people are prepared for that. That's certainly the easiest way to go. I think that some people have some like really lofty ideas just in cannabis in general. Like, I'm so pot, I should be in cannabis. I think that like venues, and granted, I haven't opened my own, but I have been a part, and a lot of my friends have, and I've helped a lot of restaurants open, and it's so challenging and it's so expensive, and I feel like there's so many people just hopping into these ideas with like no real idea how they're going to pay the money back and like make money.
And they're going to hit reality and they're going to be like, oh, I'm in trouble.
I think that people need another reason to go there. So like if you're going to buy pot there anyway and then smoke it on site, amazing. I think that works. I think otherwise you need a reason. And I'm trying to give people a reason. Like you'll have yoga as an activity. But you don't need to do yoga to come to High Road. You can come and get a sandwich. You can come and work with your laptop and be able to smoke. Because I smoke while I'm working. I want people to be able to do that.
The cafe style.
Cafe style. And then we'll also have, that yoga studio can also be used for events, and we'll be doing event stuff and getting people to go there. But you're going for an activity, you're going for.
So there has to be something there versus just be like, hey, here's a big box that you can smoke in.
Because if I just want to smoke pot, like I'm going to do that at home. Like I want.
Why am I going to travel for?
Right. I want, and also I think people are going for the community for those connections. So I want to build a place that the right people are coming to. And that people want to come for reason too. But I think that they need more than just, I can smoke out there. Granted, it's still cool. And I think...
Well, I think in the beginning, people are going to be like, oh my God, the first social and everybody's going to go to it, obviously.
Yeah.
First day, it's going to be packed.
That's the
100th day, we'll see.
Right.
But, yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think people are going to check it out, right? Like I always say that people go to the new restaurant right away because it's the hot spot, they want to check it out, but they don't plan their event there until they're comfortable and have been there and they trust that space. I think that's going to be a big challenge, is like not just going to check it out for like the glory of it. It's like, I want you to come back. I want you to feel comfortable here. And like, that's really what I'm trying to create. Like I think people need a reason to.
Yeah. And you mentioned the cafe portion, because just like working at a cafe sounds dreamy. Can you serve coffee and stuff like that? Like, what can you actually serve?
Sir, we could be a full service restaurant if we want it to be.
Okay.
We will have the ability to do more kind of full service for event style, not necessarily a la carte service, but we will have sandwiches, beverage, coffee, snacks, stuff like that. So it will be counter service, but real food. Restaurant quality food that are designed to pair with cannabis condiments, or smoke on your own, tincture, like create your own adventure, for sure. But yes, we will. I mean, the food's going to be great. That
was fantastic. And I know you have a background in events, but do you have a background in restaurateurship, or whatever you want to call it?
I mean, I've never owned a restaurant, but I have a big culinary background. I've been a foodie for a long time. I've eaten a lot of great food all over the world. a lot of my chefs are, or a lot of my friends are chefs, and I cook as well. So a lot of the catering I do myself.
Okay.
I do work with a lot of chefs as well. I've partnered with many chefs in the past, and per event, it's always kind of a different situation what they're looking for. But a lot of the private catering that I'm actually doing.
Who do you look at when you think about restaurants you're trying to maybe emulate for this space?
That's heavy because I've honestly worked with like almost every restaurant in the city. But
is there a certain theme or style, or do you like?
I think that feeling comfortable in a space is really important, and I think some people do that better than others, for sure. I just started working with a restaurant, Althea, in Central Square, and I think that their decor is beautiful. And there was a restaurant there before, and I actually booked for that restaurant as well. And now they've changed the decor, and I was like, oh my God, it feels like a totally different place, and it feels more in line, I think, with what I like resonate with.
So you're building like a mood board of like all the spots that you kind of like.
Plants. They have a very content. I think everyone's kind of moving in that direction of like, let's, at least for me, let's calm things down. Yeah. Let's feel let's feel safe and comfortable. Like, I mean, that would be very so if it's some look at that. That's what I'm going for. Is like is you walk in and you feel comfortable, safe, calm. I think a lot of spaces maybe don't hit the mark with the decor. I mean, food is huge, of course.
Well, I was going to ask that. My follow-up question to that was like, what type of food are you imagining? Like an American style food?
Yes, it will be American. It will be primarily New England style, seasonal, but straightforward. I find that cannabis is already the weird part, right? Yeah. So like,
you can't do weird on weird.
I can't go crazy. I eat the weirdest thing on the menu. But when I'm creating my event menus, I'm choosing the more accessible items. But it's so funny because you could eat the same thing, and if the menu is written differently, like it depends on how you order it, right? So like you say burger and you put a bunch of weird shit on it. Yeah. People are going to order that. If you explain it differently and you make it sound weird, people aren't going to order it, and they're going to approach it differently. People are very weird.
Yeah. Well, menu design is a real profession.
It's a real profession. There's so much to it, like where things are, how they're categorized, how they're priced, how they're like. Menu writing is something that I actually am really passionate about and really like doing. So I write my own menus, but I create event menus for every client that I work with for restaurants. So those event menus I'm creating from their olive from menu, but I'm often changing the way things are written in order to for the clientele that are booking events, and it is different. But I want to make it accessible enough that people aren't scared of the food. People are already like, okay, like I want something like, okay, I recognize that it's a burger, cool. Yes, there are going to be interesting things on it. I'm never going to do anything like incredibly straightforward or boring at all. There's always going to be a twist to it. But I want people to feel comfortable approaching it. And food, I think, is so much about comfort level. Like if someone's a picky eater, it is not based on their mouth. It's based on their head.
I think you've got something there, because I think you really have to approach it as an awesome experience restaurant first that also has cannabis in it.
There's always like one person in the group that's like not consuming. So like almost every single catering event I do, almost every event I do, has at least one person that's consuming. I still want them to have a great time. I don't want them to feel left out. I don't want them to feel like they're not in the right place. Like you can consume, and like people can be consuming cannabis and not consuming cannabis and be together.
Yeah, totally.
It's different with drinking.
Right. It definitely is.
It is. But that's the environment that I'm trying to create, is that you're going to feel comfortable. You're going to have a great time. You're going to have a great sandwich, or you're going to have a great experience in an event, anything. And the food is good enough to stand on its own. It's not just.
It's not like we're throwing weed on everything. 100%. Right.
It's that food is.
It has to exist. Well, I think that's a huge draw. Yeah, that's a huge draw, I think, though, because then people are going to go there for the food and be like, also, I can get these condiments to like throw onto it.
Right. And even if but also like, I mean, you could be doing an errand. Oh, you want to go to the dispensary? Like, instead of going to the dispensary, come grab your pre-rolls for us, grab a sandwich on your way out. Like, it doesn't need to be the whole experience. Like, I want it to be part of the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Like, cannabis is part of my lifestyle. That's what I want people to be able to incorporate into theirs. It's been so beneficial in mine. And that's what.
Same.
Yeah.
It's hugely beneficial to me as well and how I function. And again, high functioning is the podcast. You're a very high functioning person. Getting a lot done. But I think condiments is the right approach there, because again, you can't just make up an aioli and throw it on a burger. You have to actually give them like pre-packaged thing, right? Yeah. So condiments is 100% the win for you. Right?
I think so. I mean, I'm a condiment queen. I'm a big sauce.
What's your favorite?
So I'm a honey mustard girl.
I love honey mustard. But you make it yourself, or?
I do make a honey mustard myself. The honey mustard that I make is not shelf stable, so I am shifting my model because that's the next one I want to do.
Nice. I love it with honey mustard.
And then I love honey mustard.
Yeah.
That's the most typical fit to me. So like that's the direction I want to go in is certainly more dipping sauces. And then you have control over your dosage, which again comes back to, you know, people getting the experience that they want. Like the sauce is so much easier. I'll do past apps. I'll have an infused sauce. You don't want the sauce? Or sometimes I'll do a non-infused, you know, sauce for people that want it. If they still want sauce, like you get to control. You want to dip a ton, you want to dip a little, like you get to control what you're consuming in a so much easier way.
Yeah, because I think control is everything, and that's what we stand for here too, is control, right? We don't want people to green out. We want people to have control over their experience. And I think a really great, just off the top of my head, and I'm sure you've thought of this already, but like your staff, your servers, maybe there's a separate level of training, almost like the Gangier program, that they're educators.
Yeah.
So they can educate dose and stuff like that. Like, if you're new, like here's like a milligram packet or something like that. Like try a couple of these, you know, with your burger or whatever. And here's a drink that's like a couple milligrams.
Absolutely. That's something I really focus on with catering. I try to be there. So if I'm the chef or not, I'm there and I'm having that conversation with, you know, the table where it's like, this is what we're going to do. These are your options. And I walk around and talk to each person individually to get their dosage and walk them through it. That is so important to figure out. Well, we want people to be where they want to be. And also, like, there's no shame in the low dose game.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I sometimes feel shame only because I'm not really such a low dose person, a 5 milligram person myself right now. I don't think like 10, I could get away with 15 potentially on like if it's over a period of time.
Yeah.
But with me, I sometimes feel like all these people are smoking and they're enjoying like, oh, the terpenes and the la la. I'm just like, all right, well, I'll just be over here with I had my 5 milligrams. I'm done. Like, I can't do anything now, you know?
Fair enough. Yes. And well, that's
why you have to have like the 1 milligram packets of sauce.
Right. And like have that ability to have less to create the experience that you want. I think most people are scared of edibles because they got overdosed one time.
Right. They had one gummy and they were like, never again.
Or they had some weird brownie that somebody
exactly. Right. So they can't have a brownie. How much is it? I don't know.
Right. I mean, I had one of those the other day and I was like, I was like, I'm the guinea pig of the group. Like I had the highest dollars in the group. But yeah, for the most part, like you want to know what you're getting. You want to understand because if somebody that doesn't consume has, 20 milligrams, which is not a crazy amount, right? They're not going to have a good experience 90% of the time. Everybody's different, obviously, and, body makeup and things like that. But when you have too much, especially when you don't know what you're doing, you're not comfortable with it, it's going to scare you away from it. It's not what you want. When I was, 15 and I started drinking, like I made mistakes, right? Like I drank too much vodka for years and I learned my lesson and then figured out, if I have less of this or I have this type of liquor, like everyone does that research growing up. I feel like our culture is designed around doing the research. You don't think of it as research. You think of it as getting drunk.
Right.
But that's what you're doing. You're doing research on like what, some people can't drink whiskey.
You're testing these things out as you go. Yeah.
You know what works for you. You figure out.
I can't touch Sambuca anymore. That was my first. Can't touch it.
I mean, why would you ever want to start? Can't.
That was the only thing available at the party.
Like, that is such an industry thing. And I feel like, oh man, sugar guns are really cute. Like, I think people pretend they like Fernet. That's disgusting. And I pretended I like
hot take.
Because I was like, we're in the industry.
It's a trendy thing, yeah.
He like sends you the shots. And I'm like, are you guys joking? You guys have tasted this, right?
Yeah.
Gross. So I went back and forth. Now, I mean, I'll never touch Fernet again. But, yeah, people do this research. When you get to cannabis, they don't do the research, right? Or you get high too much. You get high one time, and you're like, this is terrible. I'm never touching it. So that's the story I hear all the time. I had a brownie in college. I, was holding on to the grass from falling off the earth, right. And I hated it. And now I, don't touch it. I'm the hand holder. I'm like, let me get you to the place you want to go. And if you can understand what your dosage is and get to the right place, then this is going to be a completely different experience for you. And it could change your life. Yeah. Like it is. I have a lot of friends, especially because I come from the industry of the restaurant industry. So many people are drinking less, turning, to cannabis as an option of like a way to relax and are seeing the benefits of it. And they wake up the next day and they can like still do shit.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty
great.
One of the main reasons that I really stopped consuming alcohol, like even if I wasn't like dying, I would wake up and I had brain fog and I would eat like shit. Like it was just like, all these negative aspects to it.
Yeah.
Cannabis doesn't have those.
Yeah, same. The reason why I stopped drinking was I just didn't like the feeling anymore.
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't know if with my metabolism or some biochemistry inside my body was just like, this isn't fun anymore. And I used to be a big drinker because I used to work in agencies in like New York City. And it was ad agency world where it was just like it was drinking as soon as the day started winding down.
Yeah.
We'd all be going to the fridge being like, oh, what's in the fridge today? And we had clients that were wine companies. We had clients that were vodka companies. We had at our disposal cases and cases of whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
And it would start at 5. It would go through the night. We'd end up at some restaurant and some club at like 2 a.m. and be like, all right, go home. But that was back in the day. But even when I moved to Massachusetts, it was probably within the first year or two of moving to Massachusetts. And, I just threw an IPA down or whatever and like all these other things. And my body was just like, we're good. Like, stop doing that eventually because it just didn't feel, I was like, I don't enjoy this anymore.
Mine was more over COVID because I realized I was such a social drinker that when I wasn't being super social, I didn't have any desire to drink.
Oh,
and I was like, oh. And I was like, then why have I been drinking? And I was
but I'm sitting here drinking by myself right now. Yeah.
I never drink by myself. That was my feedback. I never drink by myself. And then I was like, stop drinking at all. And I was like, oh my God, I feel amazing. That's how it's supposed to feel. And then I realized that I really started I didn't just stop drinking cold turkey. I was like, okay, let me just be more intentional with it. Instead of just taking the drink or getting the drink, I'm going to
like
think
you were saying,
I actually want it.
It was the default.
Right.
Go to a bar. Oh, there's drinks here. I'm just going to drink.
Right.
How many am I having tonight? It was like, how many am I going to have?
Right. I'm going out on drinking. Period. Right. So like, it just didn't cross my mind. And then when it really started to cross my mind and I would be like, okay, like now I'm making a decision. Am I drinking or not? Do I want to drink? And the answer was always no.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then sometimes I would like have one or two because I would like feel weird or whatever.
There is a weird feeling sometimes.
That transition.
Everybody else is drinking.
And I felt weird about it, so I would drink. And then I wake up the next day and be like, why the fuck did I do that?
Yeah.
Did that actually enhance my time? Like, no. And I mean, I had I'm coming up on 2 years of not drinking. I had like a couple drinks when I was in Colombia and I was at this like crazy cocktail bar and I was like,
you gotta have try. Yeah.
And even that didn't really enhance my time. I'm about to do a bunch of travel. If anything, if I'm ever going to drink, it would be like travel relaxation thing. And I don't like to, I'm not in a place where I can't. So I don't like to tell myself I can't do something because I don't want to do it. So I leave it open. I'm still trying to figure out, I think, and navigate my relationship with alcohol, but my therapist did say it's miraculous what I've done. So I'll take it. I just feel like once I made that decision and now everybody in my life knows that I don't drink, it's not an issue at all. And I think that I'm, influencing some other people to go down that route when they see like how well it works for me.
Right, exactly. I think you can be that kind of role model in a lot of people's lives. And, I do get emails and texts sometimes from old friends being like, hey, I've been drinking a lot less since I've seen you kind of thing. Because you're like, I'm like, I don't even bring it up. It kind of comes up naturally because I don't have a drink in my hand unless it's one of my own seltzers or something like that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it'll spiral into a conversation with like, oh yeah, I don't really feel great every time I drink anymore. I'm like, yeah, we're in our 40s.
Exactly. Like
it doesn't feel good at all.
100%. And I feel like people really they don't feel good.
Yeah.
And they want to feel good. And I mean, let's be real. Like the world's on fire. Like we have another reason to feel like shit.
Right. Well, I think that's a crutch. It's because I think a lot of us, you hear influencers say this all the time online, being like, if you can replace one bad habit with a good habit instead kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
And here, for me, cannabis allows me to relax. It allows me to chill, get out of my brain sometimes because I'll spiral, right? Everybody has a habit of spiraling, all the things happening in the world, and you'll just naturally spiral. And you're just like, it's very easy to grab a drink. Be like, all right, I'm just going to chill, right?
I think drinking does numb. I think some people say that cannabis numbs. For me, it does not at all.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel things more. It exacerbates everything else. But when I'm stressed out, when I'm spiraling and I consume cannabis, I feel like it's hard to describe, but I feel like I almost like can take a step back. It's easier for me to see the big picture.
Right.
It's almost like I'm watching myself. Everything becomes a lot clearer and just easier for me to wrap my head around. Whereas drinking, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm tabling this. Like I'm going to drink my way through it and then I'll deal with this.
Deal with it later.
Yeah. So like.
That's future Sam's problem.
Which is not as productive, right? I understand wanting to do that, but I don't feel like I need to escape from my life. I live my life. So, and that's, I think not drinking has been easier for me to design my life in the way that I want it to look, and be more productive and move it into that direction. And I have less of a reason to want to escape from it.
Yeah, I like that. The way I always imagine it is compartmentalization. It's just like you can just be like, okay, you can look at it from that 10,000 foot level. Okay, that's what that is.
That's what that is.
Yeah, and you can recognize it and be like, instead of going into your emotions and be crazy about it, you'd be like, okay, that's just what it is. Here's how I deal with it.
But I also think that you can make me emotional in a good way, where it's like, I think some people hide from their emotions, right? Where it's like cannabis, I can be very emotional on cannabis, and I think that it allows me to like sit in it. Like I can be like, okay, you know what, this thing happened. It sucks. I'm going to process tonight. I'm going to process.
Get it out of your system.
I'm going to get stoned. I'm going to process, and I'm going to feel it and be sad. Tonight is my sad night.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to designate tonight. Tomorrow's a new day, but I'm going to be sad.
I love that.
Today, and I designate that time. Doesn't mean I don't have, Bravo on in the background and in my emails or whatever, but like that's where I get most things done. If I have a problem, I will designate time to sit, think about it, stuff.
Yeah, never
solve that problem.
As we start to wrap, any shout outs, anything else you want to give?
Yeah, believe we're wrapping. Move by so quick. I'm looking for a new manufacturing partner.
Okay,
for sure.
Put that into the world.
Yes, I want to put that in the world. I want to find the right fit. I have been having conversations with manufacturers, but I'm ready. I'm going to be traveling for a while, but I'm back in March and then primarily April, and I'm just so excited to get these products to market. So that's my shout out. And then I'm looking for investment for this yoga studio and cafe. So it'll be High Road Kenny Yoga Studio Cafe in Somerville. Looking for a spot and also looking for support. And I'm very excited about this thing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sam, for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, this was fun.